Okay, well, class, building on our skill of multiplying one-digit numbers, we are going to multiply decimals now. New for you in 5th grade. Okay, our TEK says that we are going to solve for products of decimals to the hundredths including situations involving money. And that makes sense, right? Because our money is based on decimals. Using strategies based on place value understanding properties of operations. This is a long TEK, huh? And the relationship to the multiplication of whole numbers. And that's TEK 5.3e. Okay, the main difference that you need to remember when multiplying decimals is we do not line them up like when we add and subtract decimals. We do not line them up. So here's what we do. Step number 1. So let's say we have this problem. We have 81 hundredths times 7. Okay, so what I mean by that is I mean 7 groups of 81 hundredths. 7 groups of 81 hundredths. Okay, so my first step is to count the decimal places in the two factors. And write that off to the side. Okay, so what do I mean by count the decimal places in the two factors? Well, if we look at 81 hundredths, how many digits are behind the decimal here? 1, 2. Are there any digits behind a decimal place in the 7? No, there's no decimal there at all. Okay, so we have 2 digits behind the decimal places, or the decimal point, excuse me, in our factor here. So I'm just going to write 2 right here, because I'm going to need that a little later on. Now I want to think about something real quick before we move on. I want you to think, is our answer going to be more or less than 7? Think on that one for a minute. Okay. Step number 2 multiply normally. So I have 81 hundredths times 7. I have my 2 digits behind the decimal. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 7 is 7, and 7 times 8 is 56. So I have an answer so far, but I'm not done, with the digits 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now then step 3, move decimal point to the left the number of decimal places that are in the factors. Okay, so we had 81 hundredths times 7. Have my little 2 over here. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so in this particular problem, I had 2 digits behind the decimal, or behind the decimal point. So now I have to move the decimal point. I'm going to start right here, and I have to move the decimal point to the left, the number of places that are in the factor. So that means 2 places, right? 2 places. So I'll move to the left 2 places. 1, 2. So my answer is 5 and 67 hundredths. So our answer was less than 7. Remember that was a question I asked you just a couple minutes ago? I want you to think about why the answer is less than 7, and we will have this discussion tomorrow. Let's try another one. Let's try 2 3/10 times 7. Okay, I'm going to ask you that same question. Is our answer going to be more or less than 14? Let's see. We have one number behind the decimal. Right there, it's the 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Regroup the 2. I have 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16, with 1 digit behind the decimal. Our answer was more than 14. Okay. Let's try 17 hundredths, times 4/10. How many numbers are behind the decimal? There's 2 in this top one, 1, 2, and then 1 in this bottom one. That means there's 3. 3 places behind the decimal. Now multiply normally. 7 times 4 is 28. Regroup the 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. I have 3 places. I have to move this decimal point 3 places back to the left. 1, 2. Uh-oh. I only have 2 digits. So I have to still move it. Guess what goes right here? If you said a 0, you are correct. So the answer to 17 hundredths times 4/10 is 68 thousandths. Okay, I'm going to give you some to try for practice and have these ready tomorrow. Let's do 3 7/10 times 2. Let's do 6 32 times 3. And 40 7/10 times 5. Okay, give those a shot and let's see how you do tomorrow.